Hello everyone, today I'm working on these two Kato F3s. Now these have a little bit of damage on them. When I saw them for sale on eBay, it's missing the horn, the couplers. They're the original Rapidos, but a couple of them are broken. And a couple of the ladders are broken. And when I saw them, they were like little puppies abandoned at the side of the road. I just had to bring them home and nurse them back to life. So there's a little bit of paint damage also here and there. So we'll be working on that. And I didn't look at the pictures too carefully there. I thought the B unit, just a couple of couplers and I'm good. But I didn't see this here. The part that holds the side frames is broken. So there's no replacement part available for this. So I'm gonna have to borrow one off of a parts engine. At any rate, these really are worth fixing. So let's get to work on that. So these are exceptionally good runners, definitely worth fixing. The first thing I'm gonna do with you guys is the shell removal. The shell removal, there's a tab with the porthole windows on the side. There's a little tab, and that holds the drive to the frame. So you just have to get under there and pry it out a little bit. Now I'm going to be using some toothpicks to hold them out. With your toothpicks, gives you enough clearance, and you should be able to get in and out of this fairly quickly. Although it's not a race. Once you have the toothpicks in place, you can just pull down gently and it should just come nice and easy. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to remove the front coupler. That's important. So once you have the front coupler out, it comes out really easy. And then your toothpicks are even gonna fall just by themselves. I don't need to be mean to this. This should be fairly easy. There we go. Now that it's free, we can go on to the next step. So if you were ever curious to know how these lock together, it's just like that. And then that locks it in. So you just have to raise these up and then you can slide it out. Just like that. The drive looks pretty good. I can't see too much damage on there. So we're gonna clean it and lube it and put it back together. So you remove the gas tank and this little light shield, and also these two screws which hold the two sides together. Now today on my workbench I got a lot of room, so I can just let all my parts drop. That's not going to be a big deal. This is a non-DCC ready frame, so I'm not really into doing DCC on these. For me, I just as soon buy a DCC ready engine. If I really was short on cash, I would sell this. They still bring good money, so I would sell it and get a DCC compatible one. The only thing maybe is for some of you guys, they used to make a ton of different road names for these. Maybe on the DCC compatible ones, they don't have your road name that you like. So that's a possibility. So when you're looking at this, everything looks to be ship shape. Be careful with these two cradles there. These have to be in their 100% correct place, or else the locomotive, it won't run right or it'll be noisy. So that's worth minding. I'm just gonna run, well, look at the old days of Kato. They used to have the brass inside the bearing, and that made it with less rolling resistance. They used to be really good quality. I'm not saying that the new ones are bad. I'm just saying look at the quality workmanship that they used to have. Let's try it on the bench. Right now, the way it is, it's making just a little bit too much noise. I'm gonna guess something is stuck behind the engine. Let's take a look. I'm betting that there's an extra part behind there somewhere. We're about to find out. It's a mystery part. Because this engine has been through a lot, I'm thinking that there might be something extra there, or something stuck inside the engine. I'm gonna run it again. So just the motor by itself is whisper quiet. So whatever the problem is, it's something else. So both frame halves they feel very clean. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna wash them with my soap and some toothbrush. So what I do now is I'll put the components back in one at a time. Now this little cradle part, at the factory they use some type of gentle glue to have it stick together. Today I'm just gonna put nothing, and it should still go to its place. So I'm gonna bring it in very gently, and then I'll go try it again. Doesn't seem to interfere with anything now. I'm gonna put my worm gears and then we'll go try it. So these I'll just put a tiny little drop of oil there, so you can see what I'm using. So just put a tiny little drop in there, and on the other side, and that's gonna be enough. Then we'll put that in its little hole, and then I'll do the next side just the same. So it's still making a little noise. The only problem that I can see, maybe it needs a little adjustment on the coupling here, the universal coupling. These little guys can be moved back and forth a little bit. I think it needs a little bit of adjustment. I think this part should be just a little bit more towards the motor. So let me fool around with that. You can also fine tune where your flywheels go. They can go a little bit more forward or backward. I think I got it to where I'm happy now. That sounds pretty good to me. I'm gonna break the other frame half in, and I will and then I will just start my screws. So now that the main drive is optimized, I'm just gonna clean the trucks out. So these, I like to push them with my finger and my screwdriver. Let me make sure that there's a lot of light, because these are small parts. So I like to just push them up like that. And there's a little pin here. That helps with the contact. Make sure to not to lose this. All these parts actually look very good. I'm not going to do too much work on this. Maybe just wipe them down with my rag. But this one's going to go under the tap. And the wheels, very important that they are squeaky clean. You know, I like to watch Daniel Cordopassi do his reviews. If you like, if you want to see somebody that's really detail oriented, he does a lot of really beautiful work. He's got much higher standards than I do, but I like to watch him work. It's good stuff. Really has a passion for trains, and he keeps telling me to readjust the gauge on the wheel. He likes to use the NMRA gauge. I've just got this this KD gauge. So this one's a little bit narrow, so you can just fix them up. Since I have it in my hands, now's the right time to do it. And once you have it perfect, it can go back. So I'm gonna put these back together. So the little contact strip, it goes in here, and you put it before your wheels. And the wheels will hold it in place. So you re-gauge these after you clean them, right? Because the act of cleaning them can get them out of gauge again. Does that make sense? And then I'm gonna bring in my side frames. There's only one direction that this can go, because it needs the holes to clear the gears. Now my little contact strips, oftentimes it'll land exactly right where it needs to go. But if not, I double check it. You need a magnifying glass to see if it landed in there properly. And then after that, I'll do the other side off camera. Now that I've got everything put back together, I'm gonna put the trucks in their drive. And because my screws aren't tight, I can just shimmy them down there. It gives me just enough slack. Not a ton, but just a little bit. And then when it's in correctly, you'll feel it. Now I can tighten my screws. And we'll go try down the track just to make sure that we're happy. The screws don't have to be very tight. Their job is just to hold the two halves together. You could probably get away with running the engine with no screws and just the body holding it together. Put your fuel tank back on. Nice and easy. And the light shield. So if this runs right, my drive system is complete. So let me just give it some power. So that sounds pretty good. And backward. So perfect. Now I can work on the shell. So the shell, I just wash it with my toothbrush and some dish soap. That'll remove all the dust. I'll let this dry for a minute. Now on the shell, I'm gonna work on a little bit of cosmetic detail. This little scratch here, I'm gonna cover that with some black paint. There's a couple of little scratches here and there. There's an opportunity for extra details here, like the number boards, if you guys are into that. And the ladders fell off. I don't know what that's about, if that was on purpose. I'm just going to paint over that so it's not so objectionable. There's quite a bit of damage here on the ledge. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to remove it and paint over with some flat black. It's not exactly the same as the Brunswick green, but the way my layout is lit, I won't be able to tell the difference. In the sunshine you can tell, or you can really tell that it's green, but I'll be using the paint very sparingly just to hide these little scratches. So that's my finished shell. Not so objectionable anymore. So I'll be putting that back on its drive. Oh yeah, and another detail that a lot of people do is they will paint this area here black. The reason being, you can see the silver through the porthole windows. Now I want to keep them as close to original as possible, so I won't be doing that, but that's another opportunity for detail. So my engine's ready. You repeat the same process for the B unit. Everything's exactly the same. And now it's time to, hey, wait a minute. I'm still missing my horn. I can't go without my horn. I had one left over from my parts bin. So that's going to make all the difference. I saw a really nice video by Rapido Trains the other day on comparing their trains to other trains. Of course, the Canadian one didn't have the horns like this on top of the locomotive. I'm going to do this off camera because I need to focus. So that's a nice video to watch. They go over all the details that could be found on an FL9 or an FP9. And I learned a lot of stuff from that video. Let me just line this up perfectly. Focus it. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly had fun making it for you. See you soon.